Laylah Beattie, thank you so much for joining me on Flop Culture. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm absolutely brilliant. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm excited to talk about this, kind of. It's a bit of a weird one, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at specifically Jersey Shore Family Vacation, but just the first season, because as we've learned, it's gone on for seasons and seasons and seasons. And
Oh
why?
my God.
Who knows?
I had no idea when I started this research. I was like so prepared to be like, this was a flop. They did one season of this. And then I looked and they had, but I don't know a single person who watches it. I've never heard anyone talk about it past series one.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder if it's because we'll get into it because I do think it is like imminently flopping. But anyway, before we get to Jersey Shore Family Vacation, we have to go back to the original Shore.
Oh, please.
The Jersey Shore.
Yes.
Where were you when that started airing? Were you like an OG fan? What's your relationship to the show?
I was young, like I was 10 or 11, I think, but I started like, you know, the way you used to just watch MTV and watch the most like inappropriate things, 16 and Pregnant,
Yeah.
Teen Mom, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Jersey Shore was definitely one of them. And yeah, I think I went in from like series 3 and then went back. And yeah, I was just obsessed with them. The first series I remember like really being drawn to was the Florence one. Do you remember when they went to Florence?
Yeah.
I always think about like Snooki and Dina buying that massive magnum of red wine and then dropping it straight away on the street and there being like a river of red wine. like all
Like a
that
Renaissance
stuff.
painting. Like
Yeah,
just
100%. And that's the season where they were all killing each other.
Yeah.
And I just got really into it from there. The chaos of them was just amazing.
Yeah. I think there's a big misconception that it ran for longer than it did because
Yeah.
it was just such a genuine pop culture
Yeah.
phenomenon. I feel like it kickstarted this brand of reality TV that people had never seen before, but it only ran for, I think it was like 2009 to 2012.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
know,
mean? So
it's
not
mad.
actually that long, especially when you compare it to the stuff it inspired, like
Yeah.
Geordie Shore, which is probably still on. And if it is, God help me, I don't want to know about it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
really,
100%.
really don't. But what was it about it that attracted you to the show? Was it that kind of core cast? Was it what they were up to? What was it?
Yeah, I think people who were into Geordie Shore were people who hadn't watched Jersey Shore because
Oh,
in Jersey
no,
Shore,
you're so right.
yeah, I never really got Geordie Shore, like,
Yeah.
and I used to watch it, but like I never got it. But with Jersey Shore, they were genuine hot messes. Like they just did not give a fuck. Am I allowed to say fuck?
If you are
Sorry.
absolutely.
But
I really appreciate that you said it really politely, just in case.
I hesitated. Became so demure there. But yeah, I don't know, just this was like a culture I'd never been exposed to. The like Guido, the Italian people, and like these men who like preen themselves like peacocks, and like these girls who just like were covered in fake tan, didn't give a fuck, fell around nightclubs all the time. Like I was just obsessed with them. Like they were just so inspirational. And I truly still believe that.
They were very Irish in some ways, you know what I mean? Look, the drinking culture, not great, girls, but those original Jersey Shore guys and dolls, could they put down the drink, as
Oh
we've
my
seen?
God.
And like the clubbing culture, like it's all just very, I can understand why us from an Irish perspective was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and it
bit
was
of
really
us.
popular over here, apparently. Like
Yeah.
the stats over here were like way bigger than in the UK.
Yeah, I believe it. Like it's
yeah.
just, and I think so. For anyone that's not familiar, who is a part of the Jersey Shore? Like, what was it? Who was in the cast, and like, what was it about that cast that you think that made it so special and made it what it was?
Okay, so we had the icon Snooki. Like she will just always be the icon. She was the messy one, the like childish one. Like she was so good at physical comedy, which is what I realized from watching clips. Like she'd just fall around the place every episode. Then you had Polly, who was like, there's something really nice about him.
I loved Pauly D.
Yeah.
I loved
And I still
Pauly
do
D.
kind of like him. Like
Yeah.
he's kind of an unproblematic king. I'm so afraid to say that in case it comes out in like a few weeks that he's like, I don't know, you know. And then we had Angelina, who was a weapon. We had Ronnie, who was an odious prick. I absolutely hate Ronnie.
Yeah.
Sammy didn't really appeal to me.
And the sweetest bitch you'll ever meet.
Yeah, yeah. Ron, stop.
Ron, stop.
Oh my
Stop it,
God.
Ron.
She was so annoying.
I've started quoting that to my fiance to the point where he thought it was just something I made up. And then I had to explain that. I was like, no, it's a quote from Jersey Shore. What the fuck?
And then, yeah, I think the main thing that appealed to me from the characters was that like Dina and Snooki were so lovely and they had a really lovely relationship, and JWoww as well.
Yes.
And then Vinny and Polly, they were
Yes.
just these like really like just like a really gentle masculinity or something
Yeah.
that like you didn't see that much
In
back in those
comparison to
days.
the likes of Mike the Situation, he's going through it in these original Jersey Shore, like his character, and I'm doing inverse commas, his character
Yeah.
in this original iteration is really at odds with who we're meeting, especially in this first season of
Definitely.
Jersey Shore Family Vacation.
Yeah.
Like it's like totally
Yeah.
different.
I think that's the difference between Geordie Shore, or that's what I could never get in Geordie Shore, is I could never find the heart in it the way that Jersey Shore had it.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that they actually really loved each other.
Especially with the way like the cast of Geordie Shore started changing so quickly, and they left it go on so long, and the minute someone left it was just like, well, we can bring in someone else.
Yeah,
and like, yes,
yeah.
you might have still had original relationships with some of the original OGs, but you're bringing in, like, it's really hard. Whereas like Jersey Shore, you had your core and maybe one or two would leave, but there wasn't a rush to replace them. And I think that's why when you heard about this reunion show and they were coming back, whatever, it was like, okay, brilliant. Like, we're seeing the same core group of people, but like their lives are completely different.
Yeah.
But they're back together. Like, this, on paper, this should have worked.
Yeah, yeah. I was like fully prepared to be entertained by watching them. And
Yeah.
in a way, I think I really was entertained, but they're just very different, aren't
Yeah.
they? Like, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Like, so you have Snooki now, who's like a mom. She's like crying a lot over like missing her kids and her
Yeah.
husband. Like, one of my favorite parts of it was like when she's crying because her son's favorite song is playing while she's drinking like a fishbowl cocktail. But like, there's something still really appealing about her. Like, the first episode ends with her falling on the street and them having to
Again,
carry her into a taxi.
the
which
physical comedy, though, like, she still has it.
It relies on her so
Yeah.
much, though. Yeah, and then JWoww, who I love. Actually, what's your opinion on JWoww?
I like JWoww.
Yeah.
About to make her directorial debut, we should say.
Is
she's
she?
She's directed a horror movie, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Incredible.
I
It's like
missed
a
that.
streaming thing. We'll report
Okay.
back on that. We probably will end up talking about it for Black Culture, with all due respect to you, Jenny, but
Yeah. But yeah, she was nearly like the mom of the group. Like, she was quite sensible and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then Dina came in after Angelina left, which was a great day. And Dina was like Snooki's best friend, so that was really nice. But like, she's kind of the same. But yeah, sorry, Snooki and JWoww are moms now. Like, Ronnie has a kid on the way. Paulie's a dad, but he's still just kind of being a DJ and stuff. Vinny and Paulie still have that lovely relationship, which was probably the highlight of it for me.
yeah.
And
Vinny is a girlfriend. Mike
Yeah.
is sober and about to be sued about to go to jail for tax evasion, which is just
he comes from court to the
It's
trip.
crazy.
And yeah, then Polly's the only single one, which I think is a really weird storyline as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole Mike thing is probably the hugest part of the first few episodes.
Yeah.
Where
So we should probably set it up that it's like, okay, so at this point it's 2018.
yeah,
It's April 5th, 2018 is when it premiered globally. It went to like 180 countries. But this is only like 6 years after it finished.
yeah,
So like, I wonder, is one of the factors that it was too soon after it finished. But anyway, the whole premise is that they're all getting back together with the exception of Sammy to go on like a trip away together to like reminisce on the good times and basically essentially recreate what they created with this lightning in the bottle show
Yeah.
originally. But as you said, they're all older. They're all and they're like, look, they're not fucking ancient, haggard, whatever, and you can do
No.
whatever you want at any age, but like, they're in their early 30s. They
they're in a
all
different
kind of
life stage. like.
yeah, they're all at different life stages. Some of them have stayed in, like Snooki and JWoww have been in touch and like have done various podcasts and stuff together and like their own kind of spin-off shows. So obviously they're still friends, they're still in touch.
Yeah.
But you have the likes of, who was it again that sat, or who is it that's in Vegas? Paulie D and one of the others. Was it maybe Ronnie or Mike? And it's like they both live in Vegas or wherever they were living, and it was like but it was clear that like
Ronnie.
yeah,
It was Ronnie, yeah.
they're not in touch
Yeah.
for whatever reason. So then it's like, okay, you're putting them all back into this room and kind of trying to make them make friends.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned Ronnie, odious little man. We saw him work through actually not work through it all, but like he had issues with anger,
yeah.
like violence in some cases in the original series.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they were like, let's bring him back because surely this will be all fine. Like, you can understand why Sammy was like, no, I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
And then that's
100%.
also a massive bone of contention where it's like all of the rest of them came back.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And she seems to be the butt of the joke
Oh
for a
my
lot
God,
of it.
they mock her relentlessly
It's
for it.
so I forgot like even all the shit with the doll on the first
Sammy
couple of
Ken.
days that they name it after Sammy. And like Ronnie takes really, like Ronnie's like, I can't believe she's not here and I'm here and my girlfriend's 7 months pregnant. And I'm like, that's not a flex, babe. That's literally not a flex.
But Sammy
chose peace.
Yeah.
Like.
Ronnie's touching her all the time, the doll. That's what freaks me out. Is like so often they'll go onto him on the camera and he's just like feeling up this doll.
No,
I'm convinced he stuck his dick into it. Like, I'm sorry, but I actually
know,
am.
I'd believe it. I would.
I really would.
I would.
The doll was so disturbing, but to be fair, that was Polly that did that. And then you get the real like bone of contention between Dina and Ronnie, because Dina's really good friends with Sammy.
Yeah.
And hates that they're mocking her the whole time. And I think the others mocking her, like, fair game. They did say at one point, like, if you're not coming back on the holiday, then we're going to roast you. But Ronnie doing it is really uncomfortable, especially considering their history.
Yeah, because they were in a relationship together, toxic, capital T toxic, on both parts, but like just the definition, some of the darkest parts. Because I was just about to say, maybe the reason why this didn't work is that there were all these kind of like, it was a bit of tonal whiplash maybe, because you had like, all this shit with Ronnie, the unanswered stuff with Sammy, the stuff going on with Mike, which like, look, it was tax evasion. Is evading tax a crime? ? Actually, Adam, cut that out because someone's going to fucking report me to every now. But like, he didn't kill anyone, you know what I mean? But like, it's very like, they're going on holidays and then it's inserted with these like these fake news reports of like, oh, Mike's going to jail. Like if he's found whatever, if he doesn't plead guilty or whatever, like he could get legitimately a long time in jail, you know? Yeah. Is that it? Was it the tonal whiplash or was it something like, okay, actually before we even get into that, what does anything about this work for you or is it all too weird?
Okay, yeah, I actually have a list of the things that worked for me.
Brilliant. We love a guest that's researched, girls.
The duck phone. Note. The duck phone being back.
Yeah, yes. Iconic.
Snooky. By extension, Dina.
Because she's always been the star. Would you agree? Like she's always been the main character.
Definitely. And I love the meatballs. Like I just love when they start their chaos. Yeah. It's just that's where the entertainment is.
Yeah.
I did find it really funny how the boys keep joking about them all having new faces. Like, and like, you know, one part of me is like, oh, they should get whatever surgeries they want or whatever. And like, I definitely do agree with that. But I just think it's really funny that they're getting roasted the whole time for having new faces.
Look, we love the self-awareness, you know, like we'll give them that.
And then Vinny and Polly's continuing bromance.
Yeah, because even, as you mentioned, like Polly's the only single one in this. And like, the entire basis of this show is that they're going out clubbing. And like, they're still trying to do this now, even being at their different life stages. But like, Pauly D's out here still trying to find a wife, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Vinny's still like wingmanning, even though he, at this point, is in a relationship as well. And it's just, I love Vinny. I love Vinny and I love Pauly.
There's this gorgeous storyline in like episode 6 or episode 7, I think, where like, Pauly's trying to find love and then they like, they all say they're going to find him the perfect wife, and then they get him like he gets dressed up and like he's coming to meet his perfect wife, and out comes Victoria, which is Vinny in drag, and he scoops her up and he gives her a big kiss, and I'm just like, oh, that's just beautiful. That is true love.
You are, because I would say it's not something that people often would say about. Like, we don't get a lot of examples of like positive masculinity was the words you used earlier on reality TV. Like, usually it's, again, not to overuse this word, but like very toxic or very just like, and they were like, it was also very genuine. Like, it wasn't, it's a very hard to play up and pretend to be friends with someone on screen, especially someone that you've had as long a shared history as all of those people have had with each other.
Definitely.
And as you said, like, it's very, the people who hate each other.
Yeah.
Like Dina with Ronnie, and even Mike and Ronnie really struggle as well this season, because it's just like, they have this, everyone seems to have made amends with Mike and respect to the fact that he's gone sober, he's actually legitimately turned his life around, as part of the fact that he didn't want to pay tax. Now, I think I've listened to a Celebrity Memoir Book Club episode on his memoir about the fact that I think he just, I don't know, his accountant had too much power or whatever. Not exactly sure. Go listen to that episode.
Okay.
But like, they're all very much like happy to have him there.
He's not the villain anymore.
Yeah, he's not the villain anymore. There's a real love there. Except like Ronnie has this own like, I don't think it's ever actually gotten to the bottom or like what this problem is. So then I'm like, okay, Ronnie's the villain. But the thing is, Ronnie doesn't realise he's the villain, I don't think.
No, not at all. No. Not at all. Even like the last episode where they all get together, like ends with Ronnie like having a massive tantrum. But he says at one point, I'm so glad that this series you got to see me without Sammy because, you know, I'm like, when I was with Sammy, I was so sad and I was so, everything was so dramatic and stuff like that. And then it's like, Ronnie, you caused all the drama this season. Like, everyone else got on pretty well.
The call is coming from inside the house,
Yeah,
from the duck phone.
just not, yeah, just not even a little bit of like realization. And then, like, we have to talk about Ronnie blocking every single toilet in the house. Like, if he couldn't be more, actually, I should just call him OP from now on, Odious Prick, because, like, he actually blocks every single toilet. Nobody suggests that he should, like, repair it in the end. Like, Snooki has to go and do it. And, like, he's so proud of the fact that he blocked every toilet.
And it's just, like, that would have, again, it's this maybe tonal thing of, like, it would have been funny when they were younger. And and also maybe if he wasn't such an odious prick, as you have said yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just, it gets, you're an adult now at this point.
Honestly.
You're an adult man, and this isn't like
About to have a child.
about your girlfriend is about to pop. Yeah. And like, if we're to even look at it like this, right? Jersey Shore Family Vacation was obviously like MTV going to them being like, look, we have this treatment for the show. How much do you want? Whatever. And they all said whatever amount. Like, it was a job for them at this point.
Definitely.
Whereas it, like, obviously it became a job with the later seasons of the original Jersey Shore. But, like, that was as much of an experiment in reality TV as it was. Like, that could have flopped.
100%.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know why you're not taking it. But again, I think it's that lack of self-awareness. And, like, there always has to be a villain. And it's much easier to let it be someone who genuinely doesn't realise they're being the villain. Because,
Totally.
like, it's very transparent when someone's trying to play up to the villain character. Where if someone's just writing themselves into that role, you're like, grand, okay, off you go.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
He's beyond.
I need to stop talking about him because I can feel my blood pressure going up.
What doesn't work beyond him? Like, do you think this would have worked if he had not come back and maybe Sammy had come back instead, or even if she hadn't had come back?
See, the bits that I really liked about it, and like the thing that really worked for me, and this only really happened in the first few episodes, was when they reflected, and like JWoww and the situation have like a really interesting conversation at one point where they're talking about the Florence trip that we were talking about. And like, she says that she had just lost her grandmother and lost a baby just before they started filming. She'd been prescribed like loads of downers, but she was taking uppers at the same time. And like, they were just talking about like how much drugs they were on and stuff like that. And I like, that's where like a little bit of magic happened, because it was like, if it was like a documentary nearly, like looking back on how exploitative the original one was.
Yeah.
But obviously MTV were probably never going to like action it to be that way.
Yeah.
But like, that little bit of a taste of it was amazing, because I think the thing is that TV like this doesn't work anymore because we know what it is and it's exploitation. Whereas in 2008, 2009, we didn't really know as much. And then, yeah, I just think as well, like, did you get the sense when you're watching it that like, they're like, okay, now we have to take a load of shots. Now we have to get really
100%.
drunk. Oh God, I guess we have to club. And like, I just got the sense that they just wanted to stay in that lovely villa and just never leave. Like,
but I think you can see, now I haven't watched loads after this first season, but I've seen anything that I've kind of seen, I've seen from like advertising on MTV or like social clips that they've caught.
Yeah.
Where it's become very much more like maybe this isn't a correct description, but like Housewives-esque in the sense that it's more following their lives and people are getting married. So there's no like, okay, we're not going to force this again and make you go out to the club. Whereas like this first season where we're on a trip, like we're reminiscing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just not, it all feels, you can tell they don't really want to do it, with the exception of, again, probably Paulie, like maybe Vinny to a degree, I don't really know. But like, even, it's really weird, like seeing the scenes of, again, Mike is sober at this point, like 2 years sober. Something that Ronnie also like kind of refuses to believe or acknowledge correctly, which is just, again, bizarre. But like, they're doing like fake shots with him, like shots of water, which again, I'm not an alcoholic, so I don't know, maybe some people would respond really nicely to that about being included. But like, at the same time, you're wondering, is this the correct environment for someone who has previously really struggled with drugs and alcohol, that was probably like as a result of the show, or at least like exacerbated by the original show. You know what I mean? Like, I think, is it that we know too much? As you said, like, we know too much about how this all works, about behind the curtain, about behind the scenes, that we're just kind of looking at it being like, this is weird, right?
Totally. And like, that really shocking scene as well, where Mike like literally comes from court. He's pled guilty to these charges. He knows he's probably going to prison, and he arrives. The boys pick him up, and then they meet them at a nightclub, and like the girls are all off their faces. Ronnie's off his face, and like he literally, I actually felt really sorry for him. He looked like a lost puppy arriving
It's
into it, like as if to be like, why did I sign up for this? But you know why he signed up for it,
just
the legal fees.
yeah. I mean, because like this is the thing, and I get it from their perspective. Like they've all had kind of varying successful degrees, as I said. Like Snooki and JWoww had their own spin off for a while. They've gone and podcasted and stuff, whatever.
Yeah,
You'd imagine, which is kind of fucking hilarious. Like Paulie D was maybe nearly one of the most successful because he just kept doing what he'd been doing in the show, which was DJing.
yeah,
And like
exactly.
he's DJ'd all over whereas like the rest of them did like maybe various reality TV bits or whatever, but like they probably weren't making anywhere near as much money as they were
No.
when they were on the show because of how, like, I'd say they were able to go in and negotiate for the latter seasons to be like, we need to be getting XYZ.
Yeah,
So MTV comes to your door being like, hey, we have this concept. And like people did watch that first season and like a lot, like decent viewership for, I mean, we're talking 2018 and people kind of really dipping out of network television at the minute and going into
Totally.
streaming. You're looking at that opening episode of season 1 got like 2.4 million viewers. The second episode got 2.5 and it kind of dropped then after. And obviously that's not counting international viewers, like
Yeah,
catch-up
yeah.
viewers, whatever. Like MTV believed in the concept so much that they immediately renewed it for a second season.
yeah, immediately, which
And
was weird.
Well, like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, like, should it have just been a one and done thing of like, and would it have nearly made it more magic and would it nearly have made them want to be like, okay, we only have this one season, we only have this one legitimate holiday where we're all kind of going to be together again.
Yeah,
Let's fucking go out. Let's get drunk. Let's do whatever. Let's go see the sights. What, you know what I mean? Like a bit
Yeah.
more of a commitment to it. I don't know.
Totally.
It's such.
I definitely
It's so
felt myself
strange.
tuning out by like series 3, series 4, series 5, or sorry, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, because I felt like they were doing something that they'd never done in the original, which was like creating storylines.
Yeah.
Which they probably did in the original, but it wasn't as in your
As
face
obvious,
as
yeah.
like, you know, like there was like 3 episodes that were revolving around whether Ronnie had cheated or
Yeah.
not. Like, you know, he brought a girl home from a nightclub and then he went into a bathroom with her and there were some suspicious sucking noises. You know, actually, I am going to quote Snooki for this part because
Incredible,
what she
please.
said, I just had to write it down. It was so poetic.
She is such like a laureate. Like I'm obsessed with her.
Um, yeah, at lunch she said, he could have got a blowy, they could have kissed, he could have did a finger, he could have honked on the tatas. And doesn't that sound like a children's book or something? You know, what could he have done in the bathroom? And I loved it. I just was like, there's my Snooki.
But again, that's the magic is there.
Is
And so
her.
it's just like, why didn't you let her and JWoww continue to do their own? You know what I mean? Like it's
I think what they should have done is JWoww, Snooki, Dina, Polly, and Vinny just being like, but even Vinny, like, is, you know, it's actually kind of concerning because he's like on this diet and he's lost loads of weight and stuff like
oh
that.
my God, when he's eating. So at one point, look, trigger warning for weird food things, but also
Yes.
bear in mind, these aren't kind of real people and they're all like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I was listening to this podcast and they were kind of speculating that like, you know, obviously they get the call from MTV, whatever, being like, we're filming in 6 weeks, whatever. So then they're all like, fuck, we have to be back on camera again. And they're doing
Yeah.
insane things to like, look, quote unquote, camera ready.
Yeah.
But newsflash, everyone's camera ready, whatever you look like. Anyway.
Very believable though.
They're doing the same shit of like coming back in after nights out as we all do and having like loads and loads of takeaway, whatever, loads and loads of food. But because Vinny's on this fucking weird, he's on a keto diet, which look, girls, I'm not a nutritionist, probably a load of fucking bullshit based on what people smarter than me have said, right? So he's not eating the crust of the pizza. He's just like shoveling off like the cheese and the pepperoni because that will keep him in ketosis.
Yeah.
It's just, but that's what I mean. It's these other
Layers.
you might like gloss over that and like think it's just a bit mad or whatever. It's a bit insidious. Like when
It
you add
is.
it up with all of the other things where you're just like, this isn't fun anymore. Like it's all a bit too adult in the sense of like, oh, they're all grown up and they all have these other problems and they all have these other kind of demons,
Yeah.
whatever they look like, you know?
And every episode, yeah, every time they went out, Vinny would get absolutely like smashed
Yeah.
because he's not eating anything. And it
Yeah.
was just like, it was it's weird to watch. I also felt like all of the fights were really raw compared to what the original ones were.
Yeah. And
Like,
like that's saying something because like they're scrapping in the original one as well, like, you
oh,
know.
so much, but like this time, like Dina's really upset with Ronnie because he never came to her dad's funeral and never reached out when he
That's
died. Like, these are the kind of rows they're having now.
yeah.
Like Snooki, like JWoww at one point is like therapy speaking to Snooki when they're having a row, and it's like you have to set proper boundaries with Vinny and stuff. And I'm just like, this is so weird to hear coming out of your mouths.
It's
Um,
so bizarre.
yeah, I think another like problem with the format is that like they didn't have a job again. You know,
Yeah, because obviously the whole thing with the original season was that they were working at the shore and they were doing like various
t-shirt
jobs to like
printing. Yeah,
exactly, to like keep the lights on at the house and like so
yeah.
that they like so that there was a purpose, you know what I mean? And that's what the other spin-offs like borrowed, like Geordie Shore, like they all had different jobs, different seasons, and if they
Yeah,
didn't do shit they got in trouble, whatever.
yeah.
Whereas like again it goes back to my point of being this was the job for them. But like
Yeah,
because we're too aware of it, I think there's a
100%.
disconnect then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
Mad.
1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think like a limited season, but like these are very long. So I think I mentioned this already. The first season is 14 episodes. It's immediately renewed. Season 2 is 27 episodes.
Jesus
Season 3,
Christ.
and at this point they start splitting it into 2 parts because
Yeah,
MTV are like, how do we stretch this out? And also, no one's going to watch a fucking 27 episode run anymore because it's just not. It's
yeah.
not the fucking 90s anymore, kids. Season 3, 29 episodes. Season 4, 28 episodes. Season 5, 31 episodes. Season 6, 35 episodes. And season 7 just aired the start of this year, so we had 18 episodes from February 8th. And the second part is coming later this year, but it says
Jesus
to be
Christ.
announced. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's about to be cancelled because I won't get into the nitty gritty of the viewership throughout the season, but like it just steadily drops to bring it up to
Yeah.
this most recent season, this season 7 that we've gotten the first half of. So bear in mind now we're at 182 episodes of this
Oh my God.
original or of this season or whatever. Like the peak viewership it got was at one point. So I think for like episode 10, also notably, this is the season where Sammy comes back.
Yes.
They get Sam to sign back up. So it's the episode Sam and Ron, and in the US, so again, obviously, more people probably did watch than this, but the max viewership it got was 460,000, which is nothing. Like it's
Nothing.
really
Absolutely
nothing in the
nothing.
grand scheme of
Yeah.
things. It's sad, like it's just, and I think the Sammy card was a good one to have in the back pocket for like later seasons, but we're 7 seasons in at this point.
But
Who gives a fuck? Like,
yeah, 100%. But also like the whole thing with Ronnie's inclusion, and I only stumbled across this today. He had a domestic violence charge.
literally,
And
yeah.
then he was allowed to step back because of his mental health. And then he was allowed to come back in.
Because this was the thing. I thought he never came back because of that. But then when I looked up, so Paulie's been in it Paulie, JWoww, Vinny, and Dina have been in it for like the entirety of this. I
Yeah.
think Snooki's stepped out
She
in the
stepped
middle
out
for
for
a
a
bit.
while. Yeah.
So did Ronnie, as you just mentioned. Angelina as well wasn't in it as much at the start. And then as I mentioned, Sammy only came back for this like 6B season and then into 7.
Yeah.
Sammy came back too late. I
Yeah.
remember there being a lot of hype around, like, oh my God, Sammy. But again, it was like online. I feel like it was only American audiences. I couldn't name if any Irish flap culture listeners like are genuinely like bed into the show, watch every week. I'd really be keen to know who you are and identify yourself because it's just who is watching
Yeah.
this at this many years later in 2024. Like,
Yeah. Even when I was researching and I was trying to find like stuff about it, I was going on the Reddits and it was a lot of people who used to watch Jersey Shore asking other people who were watching it what was happening. Like that kind of thing. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And people being like, oh, I can't watch it when Angelina's in it, or I can't watch it when Sammy's in it, or
yeah.
it seems to just be moving around too much. But like, surely it's not going to go on beyond season 7. There wasn't even a season 7 of the original one.
Which is like it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I think we should be done now. You know.
I also am not interested in their family lives. Like, apparently it's their kids and their partners in this one now as well.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. It's like it's too many cooks. Like we
Yeah.
didn't watch the original for the side characters because if that was the case, then the side characters would have become main characters.
Of course.
Like
Yeah.
we watched because of that core
Yeah.
initial group. Like, and we
Mhm.
continue to watch because of them.
Yeah. Like, they're just never going to get it back to, you know, the episode where Vinny and Polly turned the inside into the outside and the outside into the inside.
Oh my
They were just
God.
so wholesome with their little pranks.
They were so wholesome, so wholesome. They'd actually attempted, or not attempted, they did. Like before this original kind of season and show kicked off, they'd done a one-off special on E in 2017. It was called Reunion Road Trip Return to the Jersey Shore, and like it was just like again a
Really?
reunion show where they're all chatting or whatever. So I'm wondering, did it give them a taste for it, or I wonder maybe the viewership for that was so good that MTV were just like, yeah, grand.
Yeah, I don't remember watching that one now.
No, like I think I have no idea, but I think it was just literally like a one-off. But
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
because I know as part of series one as well, they did where they were like going back over clips from the original series and talking about them. And I
yeah,
loved that
yeah,
because that was like, that's what I want to see is like them reflecting on the show that we loved and like giving more background to what was going on with their state of mind and stuff like that. That's what the show could have been.
yeah. But instead, it just ended up being about like Mike's wedding and
Ugh. And like, he never appealed to me.
yeah. I'm happy for him, but again, also I'm just like, yeah, what else is there to say
Yeah.
about this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
sad, very sad. Ultimately, then, why do you think it flopped?
I think it was just too complicated. It was just there was nothing of the simplicity of the original show. And like I just think any of these reboots that try and capture magic, like or that don't recognize that something was of an era, just you know, like I know I've said a million times that if they had been reflecting on the past, that would have worked. And I think the reason that would have worked is because there you couldn't go back to 2008, 2009 and the same like mindset of the audience and
Mm,
stuff like that. So like the only way it would have worked was to like try and revisit rather than recreate.
yeah. Will we ever have a Jersey Shore again, or was it once in a lifetime?
Reality show comes in waves, I think. Like reality TV, like there'll be a new thing. Like,
Mm,
you know, everyone's bet into the traders these days and stuff like that. Like that oh, it's so good.
so good.
But that is the new style of reality TV, I think, for now. Like, you know, Big Brother relaunched recently and it's kind of working, but it's kind of not. But I just think, you know, these things move on and disappear and we got new ones.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Such a shame, but as you said, I maybe think it's better to go back to the original than trying to keep rehashing shit because it never
100%.
works.
Yeah.
Layla, this has been such a pleasure.
Oh, I loved it.
Our resounding call to the listeners is don't just watch bits of the first season or go back and watch the originals. You don't need to watch the later seasons.
Honestly,
Don't
yeah.
do it to yourselves.
Or watch the like few good clips from it
Yeah.
on YouTube.
You'll get them on TikTok, surely. There's a
Yeah,
compilation.
perfect.
Where can people hear you, find out more about you? Where are you?
Yeah, mostly of just my Instagram, really, Laylah Beattie, LayBeattie. I have a podcast called Pre-Drinks at Laylah's. It's a similar format to this one where I just sit down with the guest and talk about a topic. And then I have another podcast, Doomslayers, which is all about how every day it feels like the world is ending and how do we enjoy ourselves with all that doom.
Why did I think it was about Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Take one look at me, Fionnuala. I'm gorgeous. I don't play Dungeons and
I
Dragons.
was like, you're way too glamorous. But you know what I mean? Sometimes hot people have interesting hobbies, you know? I was like, good for them. Okay, unreal.
No, I'm unfortunately so cool and not a dork at all.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Okay, Laylah Beattie, you're welcome back anytime to Flap Culture. But for now, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.